Hello everyone and welcome back once again. This is your EVS teacher here, and today I am here with the grade 5th EVS NCERT textbook, that is Seeds and Seeds. And students, this one is the second part of your chapter number 5. Students, as we already completed the first part of this chapter, and in the first part of this chapter we discuss about that what things are basically soaked before cooking, and we also discuss about the process of germination in plant, and we also discuss some activities related to seed. Now students, in this part we will basically learn and discuss about what is seed dispersal and what are the different methods or modes by which seed disperse from one place to another, and we will also learn in this part about insectivorous plants, and last but not the least we will discuss some more activities related to seeds. So let's continue the chapter. Now students, as you can see here, the second part of your chapter number 5 starts with a question here that what would happen if plants could walk, and then you have to draw a picture here of a walking plant like this one here in this image. Students, if plants could walk like us, the human being, then the plant would produce nothing, and in fact like us they also have to depend for eating, shelter on others, and they also depend on other for a major thing, that is the life survival gas oxygen. Students, now here is a question to discuss that do some plants grow without seeds? Yes, students, there are few plants that grow basically without seeds like rose, banana, etc. Now students, here is an important discussion about plant which hunt. Now students, as you can see here an image, can you identify it? Students, this is an insectivorous plant, and as I said in the introduction of this chapter that we will learn about insectivorous plant. So students, this one is here, and students, there are some plants that trap and eat frogs, insects, and even mice too, and such plants are called insectivorous plant. And the plant that you basically see here in this image is called the pitcher plant or Nepenthes. And students, this pitcher plant is basically found in Australia, Indonesia, and in India it is found in Meghalaya. And students, just because of its shapes like a pitcher, it is called as pitcher plant. And students, this pitcher plant has a special smell that basically attract insects towards it. And students, when the insects land on the mouth of this plant, as you can see here, then it get trapped and cannot get out of it, and that's how this pitcher plant takes nutrition from insects, and that's why they are also known as insectivorous plants. Now students, here is an activity that you basically have to do at your home. Now listen here carefully what you have to do in this activity. So students, first of all, you have to collect different types of seeds, and you also have to answer that where will you find them. Then students, you have to collect as many different types of seeds as you can. Then students, after collecting the seeds, you have to observe them carefully. Means you have to carefully observe them by their shape, size, colors, texture. Texture means either they are smooth or rough, and in this way you have to make a seed chart that you have to put up in your class. Now students, as you all know that to put up the seed chart in your class is not possible right now, but you have to prepare your seed chart, and whenever your school will reopen, I will collect it as an assignment. Now students, listen here carefully that how you have to make a seed chart. So students, first of all, you have to make 4 columns, and in the column number 1 you have to write down the heading name of the seed that you basically take as your observation. Then in the second column you have to write down the heading color, then you have to write down the heading shape, and lastly you have to write down the heading texture. Now as an example here, suppose if you take Rajma seeds, then you have to write down the name of the seed Rajma, then you have to observe its color. If its color is reddish brown, then you have to write down here reddish brown, then you have to draw the image of the seed that you basically take for your observation. Then lastly, you have to note down the texture. Now students, as you can see here, I have given here some more examples here for you to understand this topic clearly. So if you will take papaya as your observation, then you have to write down the name papaya, then you have to write down the color of the seeds of papaya, then you have to draw the image of papaya, and then after filling it, you have to write down its texture, and its texture is basically rough in nature. Then students, in the same way, you have to take another seeds as your observations. As I have mentioned here some fruits, in this way you can take any fruits as your observation and note down in your seed chart. Now students, here I am giving you some more hints for your seed chart. As you can see here, ladyfinger, chana, moong, mustard, aniseed, cumin. And students, if you notice here, all these seeds that are basically discussed here are easily available at your home, and if they are not at your home, then you can take any seeds that is basically available at your home. Then after write down the name of the seeds that you basically take as an observation, then you have to write down their color, then you have to draw the image of the seeds that you are going to take for your seed observation. Then lastly, you have to write down the texture, either they are soft or rough. So students, in this way you have to collect seeds as much as you can, and then that's how you have to prepare your seed chart. Now students, as you can see here are some more questions to discuss, and the question number 1 is, did you keep aniseed or soft and cumin or jeera in your list? Now students, here in this question you have to write down the answer. If you will take aniseed and cumin as seed observation for your seed chart, then you have to write down here, yes, I have taken aniseed and cumin seed in the list. If you don't, then you have to write down just no here. Now the next question, which was the smallest seed and which was the biggest seed in your seed collection? Now students, in this question you have to carefully observe your seed chart, and then you have to answer here that which one is the smallest and which one is the biggest seed in your seed collection. Now students, here is another activity, and that is basically related to the seed. And students, in this activity you have to prepare a list, and the first one that you have to do is seeds that are used as spices in your home. Now students, for preparing this list you can also take the help of your mother. Now students, here you have to answer that what seeds are basically used as spices in your home. So students, generally in everyone home, mustard, cumin, aniseed used as spices. And students, this answer is just a suggestion. You can add more on it after discussing with your mother. The next one is seeds of vegetables. Now students, here in this you have to write down the name of the vegetables that have seeds in them. Like, as you know that tomato, ladyfinger, brinjal have many seeds in them. And in the same way you can add more on it. Next one, seeds of fruit. Now students, here you have to write down the name of the fruits that have seeds in them, like orange, apple, grapes, etc. Now the next, light seeds, check by blowing them. Now students, here in this you have to check that which seeds are basically blown by air, means which seeds are light in nature and blown by air. And students, as you all know that lighter seeds will be easily blown by air. So here you have to collect some seeds, then you have to blow air on them, and then you have to write down the answer that out of them which blown on air. Now students, the next one, seeds which are flat. Now students, again you have to collect some seeds, then you have to check that out of them which are flat in nature. Then after this you have to write down the name of the seeds that are basically flat in appearance. Now students, The next question is, make more groups. How many groups of seeds did you make? Now students, as in your seed chart activity, we basically categorize seeds on the basis of their texture, color, shape. In the same way, you have to group seeds on some more criteria, like on the basis of edible seeds, small seeds and big seeds, seeds used as spices, heavy seeds, lightweight seeds, seeds which produce oil, etc. And lastly, you have to check your observation that on how many criteria could you make group. Next question is, do you know any games that you can play with seeds? Discuss with your friends. Now students, here you have to answer. If you know any games associated with seeds, then you have to write down here yes. If you don't know, then you can discuss with your parents that they know some games associated with seeds. If yes, then you have to write down the name of the seeds here. Like as an example here, tamarind and mango seeds are basically used in a games. Now students, the next one is, have you ever seen any seed that can fly? Now students, here you have to answer that, have you ever seen any seed that can fly? If yes, then you have to write down yes, I have seen seeds which can fly. If you don't, then you have to write down just no here. Now the next question is, what is it called in your area? Now students, on the basis of answer of question number 8, if you write yes in question number 8 that you have seen seeds that can fly, then you also have to write down the answer of question number 9, that by which name the seeds basically called in your area. For example, if you write down yes, I have seen seeds that can fly, then you have to write down the common name that seed in your area. As an example here, Vidya ke bal. Students, that seed Vidya ke bal is basically lightish off-white color in nature, and it is basically very fluffy in nature that you can easily observe during spring season. Now the next question is, look at your seed collection, guess how many those could have traveled by flying. Now students, again you have to look at your seed collection, then you have to answer here that out of them how many seeds could have traveled by flying. Now students, as you can see here two images, now can you identify them? Students, the first one is dandelion and the second one is xanthium. And students, these two are the basic example of seed dispersion. So before moving on towards the topic, it is necessary for all of you to know that what is seed dispersion. Students, scattering of seeds from one place to another by the mode of air, water, animal, human being are termed as seed dispersion. And students, as you can see here in the first image, this dandelion is basically very fluffy and very light in nature. So this dandelion can easily travel from one place to another by the help of air. While the second one, xanthium, have very tiny hook-like structure in them, and once this seed comes in contact with animal, they just get stuck on animal's fur, and then they travel from one place to another through animal. And students, that's how seed disperse from one place to another. Now students, as you can see here an image of footwear, means sandal. Now students, can you answer that what do we basically call that part of a sandal? Yes, you all are right. That one is Velcro. And students, this Velcro is basically observed by George Mastrel in 1948. Students, when once George Mastrel came back from a walk with his dog, he just surprised to find some seeds sticking all over his clothes and on his dog's fur. And students, by seeing all this, he just wondered that how it happened. So he observed these seeds under a microscope. And students, when he observed those seeds under microscope, then he found that the seeds have many tiny hooks which got stuck to the clothes or the fur of his dog, and that's how Mastral gave the idea of making Velcro. And students, then he made a material with similar tiny hooks that can easily stuck on anything. And students, as you all know that due to the sticky nature of Velcro, it is used in many things like clothes, shoes, bags, belt, and many more. And that's how Mastral take an inspiration from nature and discover Velcro. Now students, the next question is, look at the pictures given below and guess how the seeds travel and reach different places. Students, with the help of the picture given here, you have to answer that how the seeds travel and reach at different places. As you can see here in the first picture, we can see that the squirrel is carrying the seed. And in the second one, a parrot is carrying the seed, and in the third one, seed is floating on the water. Students, the first and the second image indicate that seeds are traveling by the means of the animal, and the third image indicates that the seed is also carried by the help of the water from one place to another. And that's how seed is generally scattered from different places. Now students, the next question is that some plants spread their seed over long distances. When the soya bean pods are ripe, they burst and the seeds are thrown out. Have you ever heard their sound? Now students, as we discussed that some seeds spread over long distances. As for an example, soya bean seeds. Students, soybean seeds generally when ripe, they just burst and the seeds are thrown out. And when the soybean pods burst, then they make a sound. Now here you have to answer that, have you ever heard any kind of sound? Students, generally the sounds that basically produced during bursting is too faint to hear. So you have to write down here, no, I haven't heard anything as such. Now the next question is, think what would happen if seeds didn't spread and remain at one place only. Students, if the seeds will not spread and remain at one place only, then they would fall under its parent tree itself, and then they will not get enough sunlight, water, and hence the plant will not grow properly and they might die. So seed dispersal is very essential for survival of plants on earth. The next question is, make a list of different ways by which seeds are spread. Students, as we already discussed in the earlier section that there are different modes through which seeds generally scattered from one place to another. And the modes that play an essential role in scattering of seeds are water, wind, animals, birds, humans. Now students, let's discuss the last topic of your chapter number 5, that is who came from where. Now students, here is a question that have you included human beings also in your list? Yes students, as in the earlier section we discussed that humans also play a very important role in seed dispersal, and students, humans carry seeds from one place to another knowingly or unknowingly. And students, as we all know that we basically bring the seeds of the plants that we find beautiful or useful to grow them in our garden, and students, later the same seeds of these plants spread to another places. But many years later, people may not even remember that these plants didn't grow here earlier or the seeds can disperse. So students, in the earlier times, people basically brought the seeds or the plants from somewhere else in order to plant them. Now students, here is another question for you that, do you know from where chilies came to our country? Students, the chilies basically brought to India by the traders from South America, and that's how it became an important part of Indian cuisine. And today we cannot think of food without chilies. So students, in the same way, different kind of plants or the different kind of seeds also brought to India by traders from different part of the world. And now they became an important part of our Indian lifestyle. Now students, that's all about your chapter, and with this topic here, your chapter number 5 is completed. Now I will be come back soon with another chapter. Till then, stay home, stay safe and stay healthy.